What up, Hope Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. Doesn't that sound so good?
You sound like a...
Don't I sound so good?
Sound like you have like a voice surgery.
No, stop it.
Make it like...
I'm proud of how I sound today because I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. I'm here with my husband. This video is a couple of days... This video...
Are you going to cut that out? Are you going to cut out that struggle part?
Yes. This video is a couple of days late because I, your queen, have been so sick.
You've been a pleasure. You've been letting me do all the cooking and cleaning and chore doing. So we finally made it to the part where we're going to get some work done.
I wanted to shoot this video the day it came out. And the day it came out, I said, Salmonella. Salmonella has a video out. My husband said, and what do you want me to do about that?
Pull a blanket up, you start wrapping her up, give her some hot tea. Yes, it is out, baby. Yes, it is.
So we're finally here. We finally made it. I'm so excited.
Dude, Salmonella is the GOAT at this. And I just want to make sure that there's been a lot of knockoffs coming out. They finally got bold enough to tiptoe into the ring with the king. You know what I'm saying? And his ability to say the crazy part of history, do the actual fact checking,
yes, and
ask the real question, who writes your history?
Yeah.
Can you trust this? He adds these little nuggets in like, that shit probably didn't happen, but I'm gonna tell you what they wrote.
Hallelujah.
And that's important. These other guys don't know how to do that. So I'm waiting for this.
Amen. Won't you do it?
What are you doing?
The gospel of Salmonella, and I wanted to affirm that for you. I'm super excited to get into this video. This is Salmonella's presidential pets.
And I'm super excited, period. Let's get started.
Hey adults. So most of us are aware of at least one animal companion to the Commander-in-Chief. All but 3 presidents have owned some kind of pet during their term, and there's good reason for that. Not only does the lovable mutt serve to humanize an otherwise larger-than-life figure, but their cute antics can also be a great distraction when needed. Huh? Drone strikes. Never heard of her. Hey, we're doing a photo op with this dog that shares a name with my vice president's son, because, you know, that's not weird at all. But as it turns out, dogs and cats are just the tip of the iceberg. There have been a lot of quadrupedal occupants of the White House, even without Miss Lewinsky.
Damn! Bars! Bro, I'm telling you, y'all are not ready.
That reminds me, by the way, in my last video, or maybe it was my husband's video, somebody implied that I was slut-shaming Nancy Reagan by referring to her as the throat goat.
Oh, no.
And I would just like to say, I have nothing but admiration for that lady.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because my wife could never.
Oh my God. Anyway, just to clarify, it wasn't slut shaming. It's simply a fact. That lady was out here bobbing for apples.
So today we'll be going through just a few of the more interesting ones. Going back to the beginning, Washington had critters galore, including 4 black and tan slur hounds that he named Drunkard, Taster, Tippler, and Tipsy. They sound like if Santa's reindeer were all alcoholics, which would be a shame because Rudolph's red nose would no longer be of note. John Adams had 3.
He's been working on his art, and this is what you come up with?
I see that.
This is what you give us?
You know what we call that?
Gross.
John Adams had 3 dogs that presumably spanned the alignment chart, being named Juno, Mark, and Satan respectively. Not a joke. Jefferson kept around 40 sheep during his presidency, one of which was a 4-horned Shetland ram. Though nameless, said ram soon became famous for killing a young boy on White House grounds. Rather than immediately destroying the animal as we'd expect today, Jefferson just had it moved back to Monticello. It was eventually put down, but only after it single-handedly killed several other rams at the estate, which just goes to show how Jefferson operated. Random child, not the best optics, but that can be forgiven. But my own property, that's a bridge too far.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What was wrong with it?
Bro, they had this murderous goat in their backyard and nobody thought to kill it. If it killed a baby, it will kill again. These things like sheep and goats are kind of like how we talk about, not hamsters, hedgehogs, right? Like their temperament cannot be trained.
Right.
If you have a mean goat, he's a mean goat. Like Wizard would headbutt people he didn't like. And my grandmother one time like punched him basically. And then he was like, "Bad." She was like, "Damn right." And she turned over. He was like, me. Like hit her, knocked her over. Like, bro, she will eat you.
Not the grandma out here boxing. That's crazy. That's nuts.
John Quincy Adams' wife Louisa practiced sericulture, which is a fun word for silkworm keeping.
Ew.
As a side note,
Ew.
sericulture has been going on since at least 3630 BC, which is kinda nutty, because that means we domesticated worms to turn their goo into clothes before we figured out how to ride a horse. Jackson had an African gray parrot named Paul, short for Polly, that would apparently curse like a sailor, probably thanks to the teachings of Old Hickory himself. Having outlived its owner, Paul ended up being removed from Jackson's funeral service after unleashing so much profanity that guests found it genuinely upsetting. He also kept roosters for cockfighting, which was acceptable at the time and still far from the worst thing he's done morally.
Right.
During Van Buren's term, the Sultan of Oman sent a variety of gifts to the president.
I know. I know.
What is this?
I was waiting. I was waiting.
What is this?
I was waiting. I think what he's doing is like the artistic equivalent of showing us how he feels about the president by what he decorates them with. That's how I feel.
All right.
Yeah.
During Van Buren's term, the Sultan of Oman sent a variety of gifts to the president, among them being a pair of tiger cubs.
That's
he was
dope.
like, this is badass, and desperately wanted to keep them in the White House.
That
But the
would not
dickheads in
work.
Congress asserted that, due to a specific constitutional provision, gifts to the presidential office weren't for the man himself, but for the
Damn.
people. Van Buren said, fuck the people,
Right.
them's my
This is
tigers,
my
and got
tiger.
into a legal battle with the legislator over the issue, which he eventually lost. The tigers were subsequently sent to a zoo, and over 20 years later, Van Buren died of pneumonia, completely unrelated to this incident.
Right.
Although Andrew Johnson had no de jour pets, he did befriend a family of mice he found in his
shut up.
bedroom, feeding them flour and grain and referring to them as the little fellows.
What?
It's an oddly
Okay.
wholesome thing to hear from someone who essentially set the trajectory for the next 100 years of black disenfranchisement. Mr. Johnson, we still have a country to rebuild. Get out of my room, I'm getting rat-pilled. Taft had 2 cows during his term. The first of them was named Mooly Wooly, and she died a year and a half in after, quote, eating too many oats.
Damn.
Wooly was promptly replaced by the far more dignified Pauline Wayne. She was a real dime of a heifer, which led Taft to show her off at the International Dairymen's Expo in Milwaukee. In order to get her there, she was transported in a private car attached to a train headed
Okay,
for the
that's
stockyards in
shit, right?
Chicago. But a switch crew mixed up which car was hers,
Shut
leading to 2 days of
up.
frantic telegraphs asking where the president's cow had gone. She only narrowly avoided the slaughterhouse when
Oh
a
my
couple
God.
of attendants at the stockyard recognized Pauline for what she was, and all was well.
That's really good.
So here's my question.
Yep.
He showed her off at the cow convention,
Yeah.
right? But you know how, like Henry VIII, if you jousted against Henry VIII, you had to let him win,
Right.
Because like
Right.
you can't you're gonna be like, yeah, I fucked up the king, bitch. Like you can't do that,
Yeah.
right? So like, do you have to let the president's cow?
I know exactly where
When?
you're going with this. This is America. Like, that's my guy, but fuck the president. They don't let them win shit.
So the traditional Thanksgiving dinner was and remains a significant yearly ceremony for the first family.
I didn't
For half
know
a
that.
century, from 1873 to 1913, the duty of providing the presidential turkey belonged to one
can't do
Horace
math.
Vose, a private turkey farmer based in Rhode Island. After his death, though, things turned into a free-for-all, with numerous farmers sending unsolicited turkeys, both alive and dead, in an attempt to secure a position as the next annual caterer for the White House. Nobody was decided on for a decade, and upon assuming office in 1923, Calvin Coolidge found the volume of birds showing up at his doorstep alarming, and put an end to the tradition that year, instead opting to buy his own turkey. But in
Right.
1925, after much outside pressure, he caved, and was immediately flooded with not only turkey, but a variety of increasingly exotic animals to eat. Among them was a live raccoon he received the following year.
Yes! And someone has discussed to me the history of my hatred of raccoons.
Right.
And that reminded me when I wrote this dissertation on Calvin Coolidge. Very difficult. He
What
didn't
a
do
boring
much.
person to write your.
This was such a big part of the paper because it's one of the only things that he fucking did.
Coolidge was, at the time, blissfully unaware of the intricate dance performed on the palate between forward yet ephemeral gaminess and heady seductive musk when one submits himself to the experience of a toothsome raccoon fillet, and as such he decided to keep it as a pet instead.
As he
Dubbed
should.
Rebecca, the creature soon came to be a core member of the Coolidge family. She ate as well as any of them, being fed things like shrimp and persimmons, and she was particularly particularly fond of eggs. Given free reign over the house, Rebecca's hobbies reportedly included unscrewing light bulbs, uprooting houseplants, and playing with wet bars of soap in the bathtub. She was so beloved that she even had her own treehouse built for her in the White House yard. When the Coolidges made way for the Hoovers, Rebecca was forced to vacate her post, but the new first family soon found that they had a squatter on their hands. The new tenant of Rebecca's treehouse was a wild opossum who, rather than being evicted, was adopted by the Hoovers in a similar fashion to Rebecca, albeit from a farther distance, mostly just saying, yeah, that's ours now. He was given the name Billy Possum, which is a reference to our old friend Taft. See, as the man following Teddy Roosevelt in the White House, Taft had some big shoes to fill. So during his term, some enterprising young dumbasses approached Taft with what they claimed would be the sequel to the teddy bear. They called it Billy Possum, which is itself a reference to the president's fondness of possum and taters, a dish he famously requested at a banquet in Atlanta as an act of goodwill towards the South and its culture. Taft found the idea amusing enough that he gave the green light, and many thousands of Billy Possums were produced. Given their total obscurity today, it's clear these toys were a massive flop, and there's a few reasons for that.
I want one. I would like to find a Billy Possum. I would like to own one.
For one, trying to force fads at all is like trying to push water uphill. But also, the story of Roosevelt refusing to shoot a tied-up bear has a bit more symbolic poetry to it than, it's a possum because he like possum. He a fat boy, eat him up good. Couple that with the constant character assassination that the opossum as an animal has received from ignorant urbanites, and it becomes obvious that this thing was doomed from the start. But anyway, that's where the Hoover opossum got his name, and his exploits were pretty limited outside of temporarily filling in as a mascot of a local high school. In 1961, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev gifted a dog to the Kennedys named Pushinka, or Fluffy. And while it is normally rude to look a gift dog in the mouth, an exception can be made when the single biggest threat to the free world insists that said dog should live with the president. Pushinka was x-rayed, put through metal detectors, and given ultrasounds out of fear that someone implanted her with a listening device. Fortunately, though there may be bugs in some of you mugs, there ain't no bugs in she, and Pushinka remained a Kennedy for the rest of her days. While truthfully, the gift was likely given as a simple act of good faith designed to reduce Cold War tensions, Pushinka was also the daughter of Strelka, who, during Sputnik 5, became the first mammal to make it back from space alive. So I'd like to think of it as more of a passive-aggressive space race flex. Like, yeah, our astronanimals are so alive, they're making babies even. Hope looking at this one constantly reminds you of where you stand. With that, I hope you found this highlight reel enlightening. It feels good to know that, while Congress has always been a zoo, so too has the White House at times. That's all for today. Till next time, I'm Sam and Nella, and you make my girlhood tremble.
Oh, right.
Nice.
Thanks for that. But also, I'm upset.
Okay.
I'm a little disappointed.
What are you upset at spaghetti, my love?
I want to talk about the fact that Joe Biden's dog has been out here biting people. But also, I don't blame the dog. Those people definitely had bad vibes. I feel like that dog was doing the job that, I almost said Social Security has been doing. The Secret Service failed to do.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by what are you implying with that exactly? That the German Shepherd is saving the president by biting children?
It wasn't only children. I think he bit like a reporter.
It's not only children, comma, there's also a reporter.
Maybe the kids had bad vibes. You don't know that. Same thing with the freaking, what was it, a goat? Whoever's goat killed Jefferson's goat. Ram, whatever.
Yeah, it's a ram.
Maybe that kid had bad vibes.
I think we should clean that ending up a little. My wife does not condone killing children with animals.
We talk all the time about how animals can sense things that people can't. Okay?
Well, I would like to say thank you for bringing me here, but I'm ready to go.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for your patience and waiting for this video. And other than that, peace out, Hope Biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.